Hello and welcome to Lily's Library. So today we are going to be talking about the series I want to start and finish or catch up on this year. So we've got a lot to get through, so let's just get straight on into it. So I'm going to start with the book series that are basically complete now, and I just need to catch up on the last book, or where there's other books in the series that have released that I haven't read yet, but it's not necessarily a completed series at this stage. So starting with one where the fourth and final book in the series just came out, we have got Broken Blade. This is the Halfling Saga. This is specifically book one. I've read all three books besides the fourth one, so I'm very excited but very nervous for it. I don't really know why I haven't got to An Honoured Vow, the fourth and final book. I just need to get around to it. I just haven't decided really if I want to try and track down a physical copy and read it physically, or if I want to read it digitally or via audio. So once I make that decision, I will be finishing this series. I'm so excited, but so nervous because the twist in book three is absolutely insane. But these are fae romanticides. They are a lot to do with like colonialism and the impacts of colonizers on Indigenous peoples specifically. This is a very powerful book. We've got an older FMC, and she deals with a lot of different struggles and topics. Like all of these characters really go through it, and it is a very adult book, but one I absolutely adore and just thoroughly enjoyed. And I am just so excited to get to the last book and see how this all wraps up. Another romantasy, we've got Heliacal Rising by C.C. Davey. This is book one in the Witchling Chronicles. Book three, A Song of Chaos, recently came out. I think it came out at the end of last year, and I really need to get a copy so I can read it. I also still need to read the prequel novella for this trilogy, but I really enjoyed this, and book two wasn't as good as book one in my opinion, but I still really loved it, and I'm very nervous and stressed about how book three is going to be because I've seen very intense reviews and a lot of tears and anger with that book, so I am very nervous. Another one I'm really nervous for is the Radiant Emperor duology. This is one of my priority reads for the year because I've been putting it off. I should have read this last year, but this already destroyed me, and I got very nervous about what He Who Drowned the World is going to do to me. So I think I'm going to reread She Who Became the Sun so I can finally finish He Who Drowned the World. I think I will read them both in the same month, so I might try and get to that soon. But these are Chinese history-inspired fantasies. They're very more heavy on the historical fiction than the fantasy genre, but they are brutal and incredible and kind of romantic as well. There's a scene in this book that kind of went viral on TikTok. I don't know if I can say anything about it on here, but this is kind of this is not how it works, but this is the word for it, you know? But I really like these. I know I'm gonna bawl my eyes out when I do get to He Who Drowned the World, so that's the only reason I haven't continued it, but I will do it this year. This will be the year I finish this duology. Another fantasy series I really want to finish, and one that I'll also need to reread before I dive into the third and final book, is the Jasmine Throne, or the Burning Kingdoms trilogy. This is obviously book one, The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. These are very political fantasies. They're set in the Southeast Asian inspired world. Again, super strong female characters, super heavy on the politics, like I have said, but I absolutely adored these books. They were a bit of a slog to get through, this one and the Oleander Sword, but I really want to see how this wraps up. So I need to be rereading both of these so I can get to the third and final book, which I think is called The Lotus Empire. These are just full of so much sapphic yearning as well, which I just thoroughly enjoyed, and I can't wait to see how their relationship progresses. I honestly don't remember a lot of what happened in these, so like I said, this is something I'll need to reread as a refresher. Another sapphic fantasy trilogy I need to continue and finish is The Final Strife. These are by Sarah El-Arifi. I have read her other books, The Romanticides, and I would love to finish this. I read The Final Strife for the first time in the very end of 2024, and I'm very annoyed that I put it off because I really enjoyed it. It took me a while to get into just because I wasn't in the biggest fantasy mood, but when I was in there, I was hooked. And the ending of the book is insane, and I need answers. And I think about it all the time still. So I think I'm going to get to the Battle Drum very soon, and then I can actually read the ending Fire, which is the third and final book in this trilogy. These are just so immense and beautiful and infuriating at the same time, but in the best possible way. And I absolutely adore Sarah El-Arifi's writing, so I'm very excited to finish this trilogy. I just need to track down a matching copy of the ending fire. But the Final Strife is set in a world where your blood color determines your rank and your class in society. So we've got ghostings who have clear blood. They are basically the servants and everything like that. They have their tongues cut out and their hands cut off from birth because of a sin their ancestors committed, and that is still carried down throughout this. So they are horribly treated, but they are some of the strongest characters in these books. Then you have got dusters who have got blue blood. They're kind of like your working lower middle class. They are the ones that are put into manual labor. They work in plantations and all that kind of stuff. So they are very much still in the middle, but the lowest as well. And then finally, you have got the red bloods, who are the embers. They are the top of it all. They're the emperors. They're the ones that rule this one. They are the wealthy, the rich, that benefit from this whole society that is set up. And we follow Scylla, who is actually an ember, but she's been raised as a duster. When she was born, she was swapped with a duster child, and they traded places, and she never found out who her actual parents were. The ones who took her as a child were wanting to raise embers as dusters to show that you don't need to be raised as an ember to have these abilities and to kind of rule and stuff like that. So they wanted to overthrow the government with a new generation of embers slash dusters, but something happened and a lot of them were massacred, and Scylla was one of the few survivors, and now she's been kind of left to her own devices all these years and is trying to figure out where she goes next, who her actual family is, and whether the Final Strife, the organization that stole her as a child, is still in play and whether they're going to do anything to help her. This is such an immense world, so beautiful. The characters are so difficult to get into and to like read at times just because Scylla is very stubborn and she has been through it. So she's a very hard character to read, but these books are just insane, and I cannot wait to see where book 2 goes and see what happens in the third and final book. Another series that I started ages ago and never finished is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I don't actually remember, this is the Bloodsworn trilogy, sorry, but I listened to this on audiobook like 2 years ago. I think it was not long after it first came out or when book 2 was coming out, because I'd heard such incredible things. And from what I remember, I did enjoy some of it, but I just never continued with it for some reason. So I'm going to be starting this soon. This is actually a library book, so I need to get a wiggle on and start it. But I don't really remember what this is about. I know it is kind of more Norse inspired, I think, kind of more like Viking-esque mythology and like a setting as well. We've got monsters and dragons and all sorts of cool creatures. And we've got some really fucking strong female characters in it, which is one of the things I remember loving. So I'm excited to delve back into this world and actually finally finish it, especially since my library has all 3 of the books, so I can get them and read them pretty fast. I also have a horror trilogy I would really like to finish this year, and that is the Indian Lake trilogy, starting with My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I had mixed feelings on this book specifically just because it took quite a long time to get into the action, but once we were there, it was like full force and speeding through it, and it was brutal and fucked up and messed up and insane, and I loved every second of it. Jade is such an interesting character as well. She really changes a lot of what female main characters are in slashers and in horror, which I love. Just Stephen Graham Jones is such an insane writer, and his books always give me such like visceral reactions, so I'm very excited to see where book 2 and 3 go. My Heart is a Chainsaw is set in a small town that is on a lake, and it's just it's like a summer slasher. I don't really want to say too much than that. I feel like it's better if you just kind of delve into it and read it. All that you need to know is that it is a summer slasher set on a lake with an incredible female main character, but this is brutal and fucked up, and you really don't know if it's something more paranormal at play or actually people committing all these horrible things, and it is just incredible. I also have some YA duologies and series that I need to continue and complete this year. One of them, I think it was originally a duology, but now apparently it's a trilogy, so I don't know what's happening there. The other 2 are, at this stage, complete duologies. So first we've got the Sunbear Trials by Aidan Thomas. I read this so long ago and absolutely loved it. I need to track down a matching cover and copy of Celestial Monsters. You can see this is a common theme. I'm horrible at buying the next books in the series, but I really loved this. This is pitched as a Percy Jackson meets the Hunger Games. You've got demigods and the children of gods that are competing through this trial system. It is similar, but it is also very different. But it is so fun and so infuriating at the same time. Like, these teens are so stubborn, but the twists in this are jaw-droppingly insane. Like, I still think about the things that happened at the end of this book, and I read it so long ago. It is just absolutely wild, and I cannot wait to see how this duology wraps up because I just adore Aidan Thomas's writing. But these are also queer and trans books as well, and I just love it so much. I also want to continue reading the Elway Duology. I think it's just a duology, but I've got the prequel here, and this is Shane Lend. This is Elway's grandmother, who could also speak to ghosts and raise the ghosts of animals and everything. And I know this has got a mystery at the center of it as well, and I'm just very excited for this. I adored Elway, and I cannot wait to see what this book is like. Darcy Littlebadger is just such a beautiful writer, and I'm really excited to get to this one. I will be getting to it soon because, like I said, this is a library copy, so I only have it for a few weeks. But I'm just excited for this. I loved Elway so much. It was such a fun and just easy YA read. And I love YA mysteries when they're done well, which these books really seem to be done so well. Now, the final YA one for this little section is the Iron Widow series. I don't actually know if this series has a proper name, but this was meant to be a duology originally with Heavenly Tyrant coming out just this past week or few weeks for me here in Australia, but apparently that's not the case anymore. And I've heard very mixed things about Heavenly Tyrant, so I'm not too sure how I feel about picking it up. But I really did like Iron Widow, and the ending was such a twist that I did not see coming that I want to know what happens there, even though I have quite mixed feelings going into Heavenly Tyrant. But these are sci-fi fantasies. They're like retellings of one of the Chinese emperors. I don't remember which one, but it is just insane. It is brutal as well. This is very much like a feminine rage story too. But I'm intrigued to see where it goes. This one was pretty queer, and I don't know if it's going to be the same in the next one, but I'm excited because I do really love Jiran's writing, and I think they're a really funny person, and I love seeing their stuff on social media, so I do want to give it a go, but I am a bit nervous going into Heavenly Tyrant. As for series that I need to continue and catch up on, or I'm awaiting the next release, we've got quite a few as well. One that I need to catch up on in preparation for the next book's release, which I think is somewhat soon, I gotta actually double check, is the Can't Spell Treason Without T series. I don't remember what these are called. I read Can't Spell Treason Without T ages ago in the indie edition, and then I put off reading A Pirate's Life for T so I could get like the new editions. And I think I need to reread this because I know there's quite a few changes, so I would like to see what that is. But these are sapphic, cozy fantasies. I just haven't been in the biggest mood for this kind of cozy fantasy lately. I feel like the genre was a bit done to death, and while I didn't read all that much, I just kind of got very over it just because I'm seeing it everywhere. But I do really enjoy these characters, and I love that these are a bit more higher stakes than a lot of the cozy fantasies I have read. So I am so excited to see where these go and see how they play out because I did really enjoy them. A book I read recently that I really enjoyed and that has book 2 coming out soon is Road to Ruin by Hannah Lee. This is the Magebike Courier books. I don't know how many there are going to be. I think it's a trilogy, but I really liked these. These are kind of like a queer fantasy that's very Mad Max inspired. We follow Jin, who's a Magebike writer. You can see her here on the cover, and her job is basically taking letters back and forth between this prince and princess from different areas, and her job is to go through these wasteland areas and take those letters and give them other things that they needed. And one day she goes to take a letter to the princess, and the princess tries to get her to help her escape because she's in an arranged marriage and doesn't want to be with this dude. She'd rather be with the prince that she's been speaking to and needs help getting there. And it kind of twists and turns from there and goes in a completely different direction to what you would expect. And despite being quite a pretty short book, this was just so well constructed, and the pacing was fantastic. It didn't feel like too much was happening too soon or that not enough was happening. It was just very well crafted, and I'm very excited to see what the next book is like because the ending infuriated me so much just because I liked it, but I'm very annoyed at the decisions that some of these characters made, and I wish they hadn't happened, but it does set it up really good for book 2, so I'm dying to find out what happens next. Another book series that I don't know how many books there's going to be is the Blood and Tea series. I honestly can't remember how many books are meant to be in this, but the next book recently got their cover reveal, which I'll put it up here, because again, can't remember the name either. But these are Hafsa Faisal's newest books. These are YA heist books. There's vampires as well and mystery, and I just really love these. These are pretty well crafted and good pacing for a heist book. They are notoriously hard to do, but I think Hafsa Faisal really nails it in these. I just really enjoyed these characters and the exploration of everything. And while things were somewhat easy to guess, I just had such a good time with it because while I couldn't kind of figure out where it was going, there were things that still shocked me and kept me guessing, and I'm very intrigued to see where the next book goes because this had a pretty wild ending as well. And I just love these characters and the world of all this, and it just has the most stunning covers and editions. Like, this is just the Waterstones edition, and it's beautiful. So I'm very excited for book 2 when it does eventually release at the end of this year. Another YA one, we've got the Legendborn cycle by Tracy Deonn. This is something else I want to reread before book 3 comes out in March, so I gotta get a wiggle on as well. But these are Arthurian retellings and reimaginings that really flip the Arthurian legend on its head. This is such an interesting take on it. It does explore a lot about grief and slavery and the treatment of Black people in America and how that kind of plays into everything that's happened here. These books are absolutely brutal at the same time and heartbreaking, and this is a love triangle done well. I usually don't like love triangles, but this one is done really, really well. And I'm just so excited but so nervous to see where Oathbound goes, which is the 3rd book in this 4-book series. And I'm so excited but so nervous, and I really just love these books. If you want a really good YA series to delve into that will make you feel all the feels and that has an incredible, really strong Black female lead, then Legendborn is perfect. Like, I love this world so much. Tracy Deonn is a beautiful and incredible writer who breaks my heart every time I open a book, but I just absolutely loved every second I spent with these, and I am excited but dreading book 3. So I just so many thoughts and feelings. I can't wait to see where this series takes me. The next one, I don't know if we're going to get book 2 this year. I would hope it would be at the end of the year, but I'm really not sure at this point. And that is the Hierarchy series by James Islington. Book 1 is obviously The Will of the Many. I read this at the beginning of last year and really enjoyed it. And I thought we'd have book 2 at the end of last year, and we didn't. And there's still no information on a cover or release date or anything. I think book 2 is called The Power of the Few, but this book was just absolutely wild. This is a Roman-inspired fantasy. This is set at a really prestigious college, and we've got an orphan who is basically being sent there to infiltrate it and find out the secrets and search about what happened to this person's brother. And there are so many secrets and powerful magic and insane characters and insane twists and turns. The ending of this is absolutely fucking wild, and I'm still kind of racking my brain thinking over everything that happened in this just because it is absolutely insane. This is quite a divisive book though. You either love it or you hate it, and I personally loved it. So I am very excited but nervous for what James Islington is going to throw at us in book 2. Now, there is another series I will be continuing. It's kind of like an interconnected series. I've already spoken about it so many times on here, so you shouldn't be surprised about what I'm about to say. And that is the Realm of the Elderlings books. So I am currently just starting the Farseer Trilogy. We are doing it for my book club, which will be linked down below. It's on Fable with the Farseer Readers, but I will be starting the Royal Assassin very soon, and I'm so excited for it. But I'm also a bit nervous getting through these next 2 books and then getting into the live ship traders because they seem a bit more divisive than Assassin's Apprentice, just because we do go away from Fitz in this and explore different characters. So I'm a bit nervous about that, but I love pirates, and it seems like this is a very piratey focused one. So I'm still excited, but I thought I'd just mention that because it is something I will be focusing on, but I won't be able to finish the whole of the Realm of the Elderlings this year, but I will be getting through a good chunk of it. Okay, the final stack of books here are some series that I would like to start. So we've got some duologies, trilogies, and other series as well. I think a few of these are completed. I think there's only one in this stack that is ongoing, but I'm very excited for all of these. So the first one is one I've been wanting to read for ages, and it's kind of a duology, kind of like a bound up book now as well, but I'm counting it as a duology, and that is the archived novels by V.E. Schwab. I love V.E. Schwab, and I haven't read anything from them in quite a while, so I would like to delve into something new from her because I do love her writing, and I know she's got a Sapphic Vampire book coming out soon, but I want to work on her back catalogue as well because I am a bit behind on that. So I've got the archived and the unbound. I honestly couldn't tell you what these are about. I just know that I love V.E. Schwab and I want to read these. And I found these old editions of them for really cheap on like Depop or Facebook or something, because you only can get them in the bind up now, at least in Australia. So I'm very excited for these, and I just need more V.E. Schwab in my life. And I'm excited to see what more of her like more YA angled stuff is like. The next one is one I am disappointed in myself that I haven't started, and a lot of people are disappointed in me as well and shocked that I haven't read. and that is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I've seen the movies countless times. One of my first memories is being a child and watching one of the movies and being terrified of the orc. But I've never read these books. I don't know why. I know I will love them. I've read The Hobbit. It wasn't my fave. I think I just struggle with books like that for some reason. But The Lord of the Rings, I am so excited for. I just cannot wait to read them. I am nervous because this is a slog. Like, this is all 3 books. So I'm gonna like take breaks in between reading each book, but I'll read them like this. But I'm just so excited but so nervous and can't wait to see what this is like and to actually read it. I'm excited to be reading it for the first time now, but I'm also disappointed that this is the first time I'm reading it, but we'll see. One I'm hoping to start very soon, which is a duology. I don't actually remember what this duology is called, but it's The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This is actually set in 2025, and it seems very reminiscent of what is actually happening already this year, so I'm a bit worried, but I'm intrigued. I've been wanting to read this for ages. So this book starts in July 2024, but carries into 2025, so it's something I would really like to get to soon. I think I'm going to try and start it in February because February is my birth month and I only want to read banging books. And I know this one is going to absolutely slap. This will be my second Octavia E. Butler. My first book of hers was actually Fledgling, which I don't think was the best place to start just because that is a very interesting book. It's a very tough book to get through as well. But I'm excited for this. I have heard such great things and I know I'm going to love it, and I can't wait to read this and then get to the next book as well and then read more Butler after that. The final series I'm going to be starting this year is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I believe this is going to be a 7-book series. I could be wrong. I'll need to double check on that. But I have been wanting to read these for ages. I actually have all of the books here in the original editions, but they got revised and re-released. So I was waiting for that, and I still have only got the Bone Season in these new editions, but I need to slowly start buying myself the hardcover so they can all match and I can read this. These are dystopian kind of fantasy books, and we've got like mages and magic and clairvoyance, and it sounds really interesting, and it's got a cool setting. It's set in Oxford and everything, and and around London. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. And it seems like a very interesting read, and it's got such a strong fan base that I just can't wait to get into it. But I've talked for more than long enough. This is all of the series I would like to try and read, or start, finish, continue, catch up on this year. Now that I'm kind of looking at all these books stacked around me, I am really getting nervous. But we'll see how we go. I'm not going to pressure myself into actually sticking to this, to be honest. I just wanted to collect it all in a space so I can kind of go back and look at it and see what books I do need to get to and what series I need to get to. So this is very much for my own benefit more than like a forced list to stick to. But I am very excited about a lot of these, nervous about quite a few as well. But I'm just overall looking forward to all of these books. Let me know if you have read any of these series and what your favorites are, or if you still need to finish them. But I will see you with a new video next time. Make sure you like and subscribe. Bye.